All right, folks, we made it. The video I look forward to the entire year. The ultimate recap. The time where we get to celebrate cinema.
Oh my God.
If you enjoy this top 10 video and you want to drop a like, that would be amazing. And if we get enough, I'm thinking about doing the top 10 movies of the decade so far. We have 5 years worth, so let me know if you want to see that. Leave your lists down below. See if you can predict my worst movies list. Yeah, I'm doing one.
Finally!
And of course, let me know what should I have put on there. If you're looking for movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, Wicked, The Wild Robot, Anora, which just missed this list, I'm not going to recap it here. We did a full honorable mentions video, number 25 through 11. And as always, these are my favorites. I wouldn't say they're the best, but to me, they are. Number 10, a movie I've held on to this entire year. The first time I watched it in a theater with like 3 other people, I was kind of blown away. Not by the experience as a whole, but with how original Late Night with the Devil is. This has been a good year for horror. It's also kind of been a bad year for horror. We'll talk about those movies later.
Uh-oh.
But a shocking amount of horror movies made my best list because they are up to par. And Late Night with the Devil is one of the coolest examples because this is such a low-budgeted movie with a handful of stars that you'll recognize, a really good cast, and an idea that is so simple. This talk show host on this late night show, one of the final times you see him, because what is about to happen, what you're about to see as an audience, is, well, it's kind of terrifying. And I love the way they film this. It feels like you're in the 70s. The behind-the-scenes stuff was great. Watching this live show play out, you kind of know where it's going, but you don't really know how it's going to happen. And then they get to the little girl portion. You're like, oh, that little girl's sweet. Nope. That's the devil.
Repent!
There's also this backstory subplot with Dismulchin's character that becomes more prominent in the final couple of minutes of the movie. That montage was amazing, and I'm like, I can't believe they included that. But they did, and it's freaky. This did all of the things a horror movie needs to do for me. It's original, it's interesting, and it's different. That's why I loved it. Can I be honest with you? Ghostlight was a movie that I'd really never heard of, like 2 months ago, and you may have not ever heard of this. It's about a construction worker who joins this local theater group. They're doing a play, Romeo and Juliet, and he brings along his daughter. There's not a very good relationship there, really, between the entire family, because of what they are reeling from, because the emotional impact of this movie is something I didn't expect prior to watching it, so I'm not going to reveal to you what that is. But man, it hit me so hard, like a freight train. And I'm sitting back going, this is so simple. It's just a movie about an angry guy realizing he loves theater and there's not a very good relationship with his daughter or really his wife. But man, the further this movie goes, the more emotionally impacted I was. And once you start to understand why everyone's kind of acting the way that they are acting, the film really comes alive. It tries its best to knock you out with an emotional gut punch by the end of the film, but there's also this levity to it that I haven't seen in a lot of movies this year. It almost feels like this year's Coda, and I'm not saying it's this year's Best Picture winner, because not very many people are talking about it, but a film that I watched, it made me feel all sorts of emotions. I was uplifted, I was happy, sad, emotional when the movie ended, and it's in my 10 because I want everyone I know to watch this. It's that impactful, it's that good, it's that simple, but it's that beautiful. All right, we're gonna wipe our tears off and go into action mode. The flip has been switched in my brain, and I'm ready to watch a guy go on a train and kick some ass. That's exactly what our main character does in Kill. Oh my God. People want to say this is John Wick on a train. Well, yeah, I guess if you want a movie that kind of feels like that, sure, but it's so different than John Wick. It's so different than Bullet Train. It is its own thing because there's actually an emotional connection that is established at the beginning of this movie. A guy's going on a train to derail this arranged marriage. He is in love with this girl. His family, not really in love with him. But it turns out something's happening on this train that causes our lead character and his buddy to go badass mode. Really our lead guy, because when he goes badass mode, it is the most badass thing I have seen all year, and still the action movie of 2024, in my opinion. Now, I've seen a few movies from India this year, and a couple of them got really close to being on my honorable mentions, but Kill is the one, because this is what I like, man. A turn your brain off, let's watch some chaos and soup, brutal, bloody, very violent. If you're into that, you're going to love it. If you're not into that, well, don't watch this one.
Do it.
I just think of Ryan and I walking out of that theater, looking at each other and saying, that was, so much better than I anticipated. When you have that feeling after watching a movie that you have no expectations for, it's the best feeling in the world. I had that after Kill, and I want you all to check it out. Can we just give Coleman Domingo the Oscar, is what I was saying after I walked out of Sing Sing. Now, we've had a few performances since then that will probably win over him. But when you feel that way about a performance, and when you feel this way about a movie that just pulls your heart in the right direction, points to how beautiful art can be, but also how it can kind of lead you out of bad situations emotionally, but you have a bunch of guys who are just finding their purpose in this theater group. Clarence Macklin's character as well, an amazing performance. And some people want to say, well, Austin's playing himself, how good could it be? But you look at what he's able to do in this movie, how he's able to emotionally draw you in that relationship, which is great. But these guys finding themselves through theater, that's a reoccurring theme with my list. I just realized Ghostlight is very similar to Sing Sing. Obviously, circumstantially very different, but yeah, man, there's something to this year. The movies that really spoke to me that allow art to kind of showcase those emotions that people have building up and finding yourself through that. That's what Sing Sing is all about. That's why I loved it. It was also beautifully made, beautifully filmed, an amazing song, and a movie that I hope gets a Best Picture nomination.
Furiosa!
That's what she says in the trailer. She goes,
Furiosa! What are we going to do?
I don't know if she says that. Anya Taylor-Joy is not in this movie as much as I thought she would be, and she doesn't have a lot of speaking lines. That was a thing before the film came out. But this young girl who got the Critics' Choice nomination, that's amazing. She does a fantastic job. Anya does a great job when she takes over, but for some reason, the spotlight is stolen by Chris Hemsworth, who puts in an amazing villainous performance. And I'm actually sitting here now. Look, if this movie wouldn't have flopped at the box office, I think it's done well since then. But nobody saw it in theaters, which disappoints me. I guess the appetite just wasn't there for it. If this would have done better, I genuinely think Chris Hemsworth is at least a name that is being brought up during awards season because he's that good as a villain. We're used to seeing him as the hero. He flips a switch. That's the second time I'm saying this in this video. He flips a switch and says, I'm just going to be crazy, outlandish, and a complete maniac, and dominates his screen time. And that moment with he and Anya Taylor-Joy at the end of the film, that prolonged sequence, if you will, is still one of my favorite sequences of the year. And this is like a grand epic, like an Odyssey, Christopher Nolan, that doesn't really feel like Mad Max Fury Road. It's very different, and some people aren't going to love that. I, for one, was nervous about Furiosa. It's different, maybe not as good as Fury Road, less simple, but it worked, and I was in the whole time. Some people are saying it's too long. I don't agree. I believe this is easily one of the best movies of the year. We've made our way back to the horror genre, a movie that kind of blew my mind, freaked me out. I'm watching it going, ew, yucky, but I'm also on the edge of my seat. This is The Substance. Demi Moore gives an Oscar-worthy performance. I genuinely believe that. Margaret Qualley is amazing. Why is no one talking about Dennis Quaid? I was thinking about this the other day. I'm getting frustrated. Everyone's talking about the two lead performances, the lead, the supporting actors, but Dennis Quaid is great. He's Weasley and slimy. The shot of him eating food close up is so freaky. The way this movie is directed is outstanding across the board. I just think it's a brilliantly put together, we'll say sewn together, because of that's a pun. Boo. Yeah, there were a few times where, she's making the hole in her wall, installs a door, and I'm like, does she know how to do that? Anybody?
Why?
Did she work in construction before being a star? Like, what is going on? This is a best list. Fine. Whatever, man. Suspension of disbelief, because this entire movie, you've got to really suspend disbelief. But if you're able to do that and be on board with the wackiness and craziness, and just the fact that I've not seen another movie like this, that's another reoccurring theme with this list. It's like every film is so different, but there's this edginess to The Substance that I really appreciate. It's also chocked full of, rich with themes that aren't overbearing. You just get it while you're watching. And the ending, you've seen it, right? What the
Watch your profanity.
When I heard that Robert Eggers was directing Nosferatu, I thought to myself, wow, all that from SpongeBob?
Nosferatu!
I love that someone asked him that, by the way. Look, I knew it was a movie that I hadn't seen before, but genuinely, SpongeBob as a kid introduced me to that, as it did so many others. But I knew this would be something special because it's Robert Eggers. This guy just knows how to direct horror, atmospheric horror, very different feeling horror, something that is maybe a little slow moving, but ultimately always gets you feeling like you are completely unnerved, like The Witch. And even at times, The Lighthouse. The Northman, I believe, is his most general audience-friendly type of film. At least I did believe that until Nosferatu dropped. And this is a movie that I think a lot of people are just going to really respect and appreciate. We don't get films that feel like this anymore, man. It's atmospheric. It genuinely looks like you're watching a movie in the early 1800s. That's impressive in itself, but it's also this building of suspense, and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen next or how this is all going to culminate. But the second you see Bill Skarsgård on screen, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. Like, that's not him. That's not the guy who played It the Clown or The Crow. The Crow. Yeah, The Crow came out. Bad year for Bill Skarsgård. Oh, wait. He's Count Orlok, and he does an amazing job in this movie, as does Lily Rose Depp and Nicholas Hoult, who is almost the main character of the film. Aaron Taylor Johnson's really good. Emma Corrin's really good. You've got Willem Dafoe with Robert Eggers once more. Anytime you have that combination, that duo, it's going to be great, as well as Ralph Ineson. So, all in all, it has the cast, the look, the visual appeal, the aesthetics, the atmosphere. It delivered on all of those expectations. Not often do you get a movie that just matches your expectations that were sky high. I wouldn't say it surpassed them, but they were so high, it's almost impossible to do that. Robert Eggers, what are you doing next, man? I think the director's name's Brady Corbet. Did I say Corbett in my review? Regardless, this is now a name that we've got to keep an eye on. Okay, not because of Vox Lux, which I don't think is a bad film, but he goes from that to this. He's also been an actor in the past, but this is an American epic. The Brutalist is as epic as any film you're going to see in the theater this year. Not just because it's 3.5 hours and there's a literal intermission, which I've seen a couple of times with Indian films this year, but not really in American movies. That's a first. Well, a first in a long time. So you get that. You get the amazing look and feel. Early America. Adrian Brody's character comes in, is just trying to make a better life for himself and his family. He's a brilliant architect. He brings those skills, that skill set, to a handful of people in this film, but one person, played by Guy Pearce, who thinks he's brilliant and a genius, but are there ulterior motives at play? And where this film goes with all of these characters, frankly, I was shocked by and never bored with. Guys, it's a 3.5 hour film that flies by, and I genuinely mean that. The only thing I can say about it that could come across as a negative is the ending, which kind of wraps everything up. It's an epilogue, but I don't know if it's going to work for everyone, but at least they did something that I didn't expect, and I appreciate that. This is epic American cinema. There will be blood and the master level. I know a lot of people haven't had the chance to see it yet, but if it is in a theater near you and you have that kind of time, please go see The Brutalist. There's no denying how beautifully made it is. Reoccurring theme with my top 3 films of the year: The Brutalist, amazing score; Challengers, amazing score. My God, I have listened to that so many times. I'm at the gym with my measly 2.5-pound dumbbells. I'm just like, have you ever watched a movie and you're just on the same wavelength? You're just vibing the entire time, from the cinematography to the way it makes you feel to this trio, this relationship. All 3 characters amazing. I genuinely thought Josh O'Connor would get more love for his performance. I mean, Mike does a great job as well, but how about Zendaya? How about the year that Zendaya is having, capped off by, I believe, her best performance of the year in Challengers? She is so good, but this is a very simple love triangle, a very simple build-up to one big, epic, kind of small-scale tennis match that is shot so immaculately. Like, the cinematography of these tennis matches, people are making fun. I don't care. I know the B movie brought us an epic tennis sequence, but I think Challengers may have topped it. The B movie is top-tier cinema. Challengers, really close. That shot from underneath the tennis court, which some people are calling corny on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, I don't give a damn. It's amazing, man. I was so in on this movie from start to finish. And once again, walking out of that theater with Ryan Snelling and my guy Jacob, we all looked at each other. We're just like, that was it. That was how. I know we're early in the year, but who's going to top that? What are we going to do next? Like, when you have that feeling walking out of a movie, it's like, you know, you just did something. I didn't do anything. They did something. Luca Guadagnino, I know he's a great director. I have never fully vibed with him as a director. Like, I've really loved some of his films. But this was the first time where I said, I understand. It clicked. Something clicked in my brain. Easily his best work. You know me. I love a good, hot, steamy romance. But it's not even really that, man. It's just the way that they're acting around each other, the sense of humor between our two friends. And then Zendaya's character comes into the mix. And that dynamic between all three of them leading up to, I believe, the ultimate climax. And an ending that my brain got it. I understood it. I'm like, yes, Luca, that's a great choice. Good job. Movie's over. See you guys later.
Get up on out of here!
But my number one movie of 2024, the moment I saw that first trailer, I knew this could be something special, but is it going to pay off? And the answer is yes. Denis Villeneuve, take us home, because Dune 2 is spectacular. It's just immaculately crafted. Like, how else am I supposed to say it? This is a big budget sci-fi blockbuster, a sequel to a film that was already successful, not only capitalizes on the first, outdoes the first, is as epic as any film I've seen this decade, and hits you like a ton of bricks. Hans Zimmer's score combined with Greg Fraser's cinematography, it's like that Warriors team that had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, like everybody's amazing. Who do you defend at that point, you know? I can't think of another film that would have ever taken this spot after I saw Dune Part 2. From the moment I saw it, I knew I was witnessing something special. It's one of the only movies this year that I wanted to go back more than 2 times, more than 3 times.
Not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
It's like I wanted to see it over and over again because I didn't want to miss any specific detail, from Austin Butler to Zendaya to Josh Brolin to just so many epic performances. And then Timothée Chalamet not only taking another step in this movie, but becoming Listen Al-Gaib. All the memes as well. The memes were fantastic. But becoming who everyone knew who has read the book he would become, and doing so in a convincing way. Nobody's talking about Butler's villainous performance. No one's talking about this film in the way that they should be talking about it. I don't care if Zimmer's score is not whatever for the... Who cares? It's spectacular. And this movie across the board, I can't think of one moment that was wasted. Yeah, it's a little long and a little slow. You know what else is long and slow?
That's what she said.
Never mind. It was always number one. I tried to throw Letterboxd off a couple of times by switching it up just a little bit. You all knew, right? I'm so obvious. But it's a film that just, it paid off on my expectations. Like, how often do you get that? Especially in 2024, where I've seen a lot of disappointments and some bad. And don't worry, we're doing a worst list. That's happening on this channel, absolutely. If you missed my honorable mentions, if you missed my best Netflix movies, we're going to be doing best series of the year very soon, and I want you all to come on this journey with me in 2025. We're going to try to watch as many movies this year as we've ever watched on this channel. Plenty of Netflix reviews, plenty of rankings. I'm doing top 10 of the decade at some point, but again, if you guys want to see that, please let me know by dropping a like on this video. If this video gets to like 500 likes, or I don't know, even 1,000 likes, maybe we'll do our own award show on this channel. That's something I've been thinking about. But I need you to share your responses, your comments, your thoughts. What are your favorite movies of the year? Why didn't my list work for you? What are your predictions for my top 10 movies of the decade? And which films on this list will make that? Thank you all for another amazing year. We have a couple more videos coming, but I just want to let you all know I'm appreciative. My daughter is appreciative of your support. My whole family, we love this channel. We love what you all do. And the constant conversation in the comments is always my favorite part. So very much appreciative of that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.